My initial reaction when driving up to the scene was, how did anyone survive? Did anyone survive? Just looking at the damage to the car, it was obvious that no one could have survived it.
The vehicle looked like we had already cut it open. The roof was laid open and pretty major damage, about as bad as I've ever seen. Truck running into a semi at full speed. You can imagine what that does to it. The rear of the truck came through right where she was sitting, and I think she physically hit the truck. The seat broke and she laid back. Basically, we tried to provide her with a little dignity. We held up some blankets to block traffic, pulled the trucks around to block the media. Later on, after State Patrol had done their investigating and coroner was there, we started cutting. We tried to get her from the passenger side. We cut the doors off. Could not easily get to her because she was pinned, her leg was pinned. So we moved the semi-truck and we had to cut both of the driver's side doors off. And from there we didn't have to do a whole lot. We got her unpinned and pulled her out.
I think I didn't realize how affected people were until I saw the memorial after. They put up a memorial with a star and balloons and all kinds of things there, and that was up for quite a while, just to show that she's, not forgotten. And you usually see these little memorials alongside the road, little cross. This was huge, so she was really very loved and very missed.
The grief has been for everyone unbearable. It's indescribable, and it haunts you. The accident haunts us all. The day after Ashley's accident, her sister April's daughter's birthday, she had a party planned for her little girl's first birthday, and instead we were at a funeral home planning Ashley's funeral. There were quite a few of us there. We were mostly hysterical. Ashley's body actually arrived while we were there. The funeral director came in and said, "Her body has arrived." That was very hard. And they asked us if anybody wanted to see the baby. They said Ashley was not showable. There was no way. And if anybody wanted to see the baby, that was an option. And most people chose not to. I wanted to see my great-grandson. And I did see him. He was fully formed little baby boy, because she was 5.5 months.
We couldn't have an open casket.
It was so devastating.
That was horrible.
They took 8 hours to try to make her look like she did. And everybody goes, "Who's going to be the first one to the casket?" And I go, "I am, because I'm her dad." And me and my daughter walked up to the casket, and what I seen was devastating. And I walked back. I said, "Look, you need to close this. She does not need to see this." And everybody's like, "She needs closure." I said, "She doesn't need to see this."
I didn't even.
And she walked up and made one step and looked over and told him to close the casket.
She loved to text. That's how she talked to her friends.
They would talk from room to room like that. They would text from room to room. I'm going, why don't you just go up and go to the bedroom and talk to her?
Ashley texts all the time. The 2 days before her accident, that's how I was talking to her. I was texting her.
When we drove together, I'd watch her text while she was driving. She probably seen me text a million times while I was driving too. But you don't want to tell somebody something. It's not what you think about, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to think, oh, this can happen to you. So, unfortunately, until it does. Yeah, I sent her last text. And I felt so horrible. The second I found out, I was like, oh my God, they're going to be so mad at me. So.
Now, if I'm in a car with someone and if they're on their phone, I yell at them and I'll grab their phone out of their hand and say, "You're not going to do this with me in the car," and try to drill in their heads how bad it really is.
Once I joined the fire department and I started seeing more accidents and realizing how bad they could actually be, that just kind of drove it home that never text and drive. I don't use my phone. I'm always watching out for the other person, because it could not be your fault and you could get really hurt. I mean, we see a lot of drunk drivers and innocent people just sitting at a stoplight, and they get really hurt, and so it's just, you gotta watch out for the other person too. So I like to pay attention when I'm driving.
I do not text and drive now. I speak highly against texting and driving. Anyone that I meet, at work, do you text and drive? I'll ask them. And some will be like, yeah, and some will be like, no. And I tell them Ashley's story. I tell them how that it's affected me. I feel like part of my heart is gone with this whole, there's a part of my heart that will never be completely healed.
Ever since then, I can't really sleep all that well. I mean, I close my eyes, I see the car, and I see her face, and it's just, I feel lost without her.
The emptiness that we have in our house right now, the emptiness we have anywhere we go. I'm at work, I'll be on the line thinking about this stuff, and it never leaves you. It never leaves. That's all you think about when it first happens. It's all on your mind, and you're asking the questions, why? Why it happened to us? Why it had to happen to her? Why couldn't God took somebody older? She didn't even know what life was all about. Never experienced being married, never experienced having the child that she was pregnant with, never got to experience playing with her child like we did. Walking down the aisle. I walk in the house and look at pictures. I sit there, I went on second shift, and I've caught myself talking to them pictures, ask her how she's doing. Are you all right where you're at? We miss you, and you're not supposed to be there. Why did you do this? I was so excited about having a grandson, and then having it taken all away from me. And just a split second was gone. Everything was gone. And just to watch her get on the internet and Facebook, and to watch her bawl her eyes out and cry like she did, it tore me up. Because death is one part of life, but when you lose a child, it's just it's devastating. It's not supposed to happen this way. We're not supposed to be the ones burying her. She's supposed to be burying us.
To see what she would be like as a mother would be wonderful. Just for her to be here, period.
I miss Ashley, and I miss my son.
My plea for you, please, 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 put your cell phones down when you drive. Keep your eyes and your mind focused on the road. There's no life that is worth a text message.
Well, as you've been watching this program of people regarding this wonderful life of Ashley Snyder, I hope you can feel the experience. I know when people are young, they don't think anything will ever happen to them. And I hope you realize from this, things happen to anyone. And when you take risk, it can happen to you. And that's the purpose we are here speaking on Ashley's story. We don't want anyone to ever have to experience this. I hope you will take that from this story.
This was the love of my life. She was taken from me from texting and driving. I mean, texting and driving is not worth it. I mean, you can lose a lot in just fractions of a second. And you don't want to go through what I went through, or her family.